What's up, horror fans? Anchorpete here. I'm with my beautiful wife, Shari T, and we are joined by our favorite horror couple, Mr. Danny, Dr. ZSGOD, and his wife over there, Athena. Welcome, welcome.
I see myself up, but whatever. Hi.
Yeah. It's always weird when you record because, like, I'll point this way, but then you're over there. It's I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we are almost at the end of the stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last night's episode was a doozy.
It was.
Yeah. Shari actually posted something about it on Twitter last night, but then she deleted her post because she was not a fan.
Oh, I thought it was a shitty episode. I don't know how y'all feel.
What's the general consensus?
You go first, Athena.
So there were parts that I didn't like, but in general, I liked it. But only because I was sitting there like I know generally what's going to happen, but I also know that they changed stuff. So I was excited to see like what was the same, what was changed, if they redeemed any of the characters that I disliked, if the characters that I did like, and that stuff happened. I feel like anybody that didn't watch the other miniseries and didn't read the book would not enjoy it as much. And I know that's weird because people who read the book and watched the miniseries are, king snobs usually. But like, I just felt like I was waiting to see what happened, and I was waiting to see what was going to be different. And I feel the same way about next week. But there were definitely parts I severely disliked. But there are parts that I liked too.
I can't wait till we get into spoilers and you can talk about the parts you severely disliked.
Everyone knows the part I disliked already. It's the part that everyone disliked.
I thought this episode had ironically, I thought it had some of the best acting from some of the characters that I had been waiting to hear, like to see. Some of my favorite characters in the book, I felt got some real time to shine in this episode. I'll just say, I thought this was the best Glenn, and this was the best Larry that we saw in the whole season. Jovan Adepo as Larry and Greg Kinnear. I thought this was Greg Kinnear's best episode. And I loved those two actors in particular. I thought that Nat Wolff as Lloyd did his best work in the series, because I thought for the first time you actually saw him have that kind of separation from just like the follower of Flagg. He had that kind of like, oh wait, do I want to go through with all this? And I thought he was pretty good compared to, because I've been pretty critical of him so far, and I thought he was good in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's where I stood on things that I really liked about this episode. I just, like you brought up Stephen King and King snobs. I don't know who this show was made for. I really don't. Now that I've watched 8 out of the 9 episodes, I'm somebody who read the book and loved the 94 miniseries. And I feel like I am the target audience. Like, we are the target audience for this. Stephen King fans who have read the book and watched the miniseries, and we don't particularly like it. So is somebody who doesn't have that pedigree in King going to just go into this cold in the year of a pandemic and enjoy this series? I don't think it worked for a casual audience either. So I'm really curious to know, like, to go into like the writer's room and who they were aiming to please with this series. Because at the end of the day, there were parts of the series overall that I liked, but I don't think I don't really think it ended up being something that it worked, with lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I think oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you go ahead, because you're closest to what I think Danny was talking about.
I was going to say I'm the only one who hasn't read the book here, and y'all, I can tell y'all all have deep affinity for certain characters, and I feel nothing for those characters. And I do think that's because the series didn't establish them properly.
100%.
Yeah, so I see what you mean. I mean, who do they?
Well,
I think Athena,
Shari,
I think you're
can I
able to
ask
appreciate it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can I just ask you, like, what, based on everything that you've seen, and now that obviously certain plot points are ruined for you, would you read the book now as the, like, is this a book that you would go into knowing it's 1,100 plus pages? Like, do you want to know the backstories to these characters, or are you just like stand it out?
I don't want to know. I mean, I believe y'all that it's probably really good, but this would kind of ruin it for me because I do know all the plot points, and I don't think I'd rather try something that I don't know what's going to happen along the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
And it sounds like that's a shame.
True, yeah.
It sounds like that's a shame because there's really good characters, right? Like y'all are always excited about all these people, and I'm just kind of like, really, that person?
I mean, it's my second favorite King book, so.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be. I mean, I've always heard such great things about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can actually jump right into spoilers if you want.
Let's go for it.
Is that like Shari actually said that she wasn't really going to be into the book because of what happens in it. She kind of did not like some of the ways that things were resolved. Now, I think that like I remember the 1994 miniseries, and of course I just saw this, right? And then the book, there's a different feeling for all three resolutions, right? The book is probably the most satisfying. The 1994 one is a little like cheesy, and
yeah.
So the one thing, if we're going to go right into spoilers, the one thing we should address is that there's the literal hand of God comes in to wipe out Las Vegas, right? Now, when I saw this in 1994, I hadn't read the book, and I was a little kid, right? Or I guess I was like 11 or something. And I was like, oh wow, that's weird how like God is literally just jumping in and helping out. It's like too much. In the book, it's a lot more scary leading up to that point, and then all of a sudden like it doesn't feel as like Deus Ex Machina, right? But then in this, when God's hand shows up, it's this like real kind of scary cool scene where the sound goes away at first, right? But then when he's like zapping everybody, it felt like a Final Destination movie.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
I thought you know what it reminded me of, Pete? You know what it reminded me of? Did you see Fantastic Four: Rise of Silver Surfer?
Of course.
Thought Galactus was here.
Oh yes.
The Galactus cloud. That's what it looked like, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know about this," because it didn't. And this is again where if you don't know what is supposed to happen, I can't imagine somebody watching this and going, "Oh, the hand of God."
Right. They didn't say it. Right? They didn't
nobody,
say it.
and it doesn't
I
look
knew,
like
we knew it was.
I didn't know what was going on. I thought like some sort. It looked like the fog was coming in, and then.
Oh no, it's the mist. It's another Stephen King story.
It didn't look like a hand. I mean, is it supposed to?
It kind of looked like fingers, but maybe that's because I knew it was the hand of God.
I knew it was the hand of God too.
Yeah, if you weren't looking for the cloud fingers, you weren't going to see them. I think Shari is dead on with that. Yeah.
And so
I didn't see it. I didn't see the hand, and I was like, when is he going to say it's the hand of God? And I knew it was the hand of God, but I didn't. I was looking for it, and I didn't see it. Yeah. And I was also like wondering about like what about the choice of how they made. Well, first of all, I'm sorry. Do you want to say something, or I can keep going with this?
Okay. No, go for a rocket. Yeah.
So, first of all, I was happy that Ray finally had some meat in her role, and she finally had feeling, and I, was like, oh, okay, she's scared, and that's great, and she's hugging Larry, and like, I was like happy about that, but I was confused about why they chose the pool as the death. Oh. I mean, I didn't understand, like the way that the book in the 94 series had the death was like really gruesome. Like, I guess drowning is gruesome too, but like, they were going to dismember them like with chains, and that's rip him apart. And that's pretty, you know, scarier than drowning, I think.
Yes.
So
It's funny, Pete, when you said Final Destination, I started it. I knew exactly what you meant, because the scene with Lloyd where he like ducks the swinging thing and he's like, whew. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly how the first Final Destination movie ended.
Yeah.
It really did feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, Shari, for instance, like when you saw they were going to be drowned, right? Did you not like that? Like, how did you feel about that?
I guess I didn't know what the correct way or the way in the book was going to be, so I didn't really think that much about it. What y'all are saying, my guess is that they chose this way so it would take a long time and be dragged out so they could show all the other things going on while they were about to die. But I guess what I'm wondering is, and this is more a book plot point, if the hand of God's going to come down and get rid of all these horrible people in Las Vegas, why didn't it save, you know, the good people? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think we always thought it was like a sacrifice. Like they had to go and make the sacrifice. And when Mother Abigail said, you know, one of you is not going to complete the journey, they all thought that meant one of you is going to die, but rather it was the opposite. It was, you know, Stu didn't complete his journey to Vegas, and the journey was getting there and, like, you know, watching it all fall apart.
Now,
yeah,
now
that was some tricky wording.
Yeah, there is another episode. There is another episode, but this episode, and again, I've been guilty of complaining about things, and then, you know, maybe they come up in the next episode, but we're always left in the book and in the miniseries with the idea that while it looks like, you know, the bomb goes off, everyone is defeated, but Flagg probably survived. There's this like hint of him still around. You don't get that at all here.
I got it.
Oh, really? He just,
yeah.
He like
I
turned into a monk. I
Let
didn't see that.
You were probably looking at your phone. I mean,
well,
yeah,
by that point, I was completely bored. So maybe.
I mean, yeah, the lightning things hit him, and he looked like he was glowing, but then it was just like he went to a vacuum, right? He like disappeared into a vacuum.
Oh, it just felt like he disappeared, and again, we can interpret that as, oh, he disappeared. I was trying to look at it from somebody who doesn't know, and that could have just been like the lightning bolts killed him.
Yeah,
but I thought he just fell down.
It didn't blow him apart the way it blew apart the people.
That's true.
So you didn't see the blood spatter.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like, oh, good.
Does he have blood?
Oh, well, he is like a man, but I mean, it's kind of ambiguous as to what he actually is. But like one thing that I really liked, and I think you guys would appreciate, is that like in his, you know, the area where the execution is going to happen, they had all these flags that had like the symbol of the Crimson King, right, from the Dark Tower. I was really digging that.
Yeah, you know how I hope this really ends. I said I said it in another episode.
Yeah.
A couple other things, you know, I know we didn't see Franny and Stu, and that's fine. You know, their part, I guess, is coming up. But like, although I, you know, just like Amber Heard, I did like that the way they pushed like Nadine to realize what she really was and what she really looked like through that conversation with Larry. And I really did also love Larry throughout this whole episode. And that courtroom scene was great. I was hoping that Glenn would have had a little bit longer time talking, but that was a satisfying moment. And my sister and I were watching it, and you know, we looked at each other and we're like, oh, Lloyd never shot anyone before. That's why he's like,
yeah.
You know,
Greg Kinnear, I thought Greg Kinnear was great, and in this episode, and that's one of my favorite scenes overall, because I love the idea that at that point Glenn is the elder statesman. He knows what's going on. He knows at this point they're done. They're not coming home, and he's going to win, even if it means he ends up getting killed. And I felt like they did that part well with him, like, you know, basically sacrificing himself in that moment to almost, you know, with an attempt to save Lloyd's soul. And from that moment on, Lloyd is really kind of messed up about everything. But I disagree about Nadine. I thought I was actually really interested in, from the finale of last week's episode to the first half of this week's episode, I thought they were going to go a completely different way. I thought they were going to go against the book, and they were going to do a like rotting corpse bride Nadine who is still going to remain with Flagg. And then it just felt like they pulled the trigger on that and they were like, oh, wait, no, in the book, this happens. And then in like 1 second, she just turned around, and apparently hotels with, you know, have really thin glass in the windows, and she was able to break it with a rock and
It was a special rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was really digging the like creepy rotting bride. And I thought that would have been such a cool little switch from the book. And then they just kind of were like, nah, we're going to go back to what we know. And so that part didn't work for me. And pretty much nothing in Vegas worked for me. I was, aside from after the courtroom, Vegas was just a complete shit show for me. So.
Yeah. I was like, where'd all the orgy people go? Because it was like one big orgy, and then all of a sudden they were just like regular people. Like, I mean, obviously they were like screaming and yelling angrily, and then some people were like, you know, going against Flagg, but like they were all dressed and they looked all normal. Like, I thought they were supposed to be. So that was weird.
Yeah. I don't know, you know, like for me, Danny, too, the Vegas stuff was just like too much, as per usual. Like Vegas has always been kind of the weakest part of this series, I thought. And even Nadine's death itself, it was like so like over the top, you know. I think the way that Nadine died in the original miniseries is kind of cool. And Shari, you were saying that you remembered it, right? Like,
yeah, she also had a fall, right?
Yeah, in all three, she has a fall. In the book, though, spoilers for the book, like Randall Flagg throws her because he gets like really mad and he throws her, right? But in this, she did use that special rock. Like they made a point to show it glowing, and then she broke the window because of that, right? And then the one big change they made was that they showed her head too, like under the in the platter. I was like, Jesus,
it got served up.
Yeah. That was so gruesome.
I really hated the whole scene when she was going to have the baby and they bring her to the penthouse. And I'm like, so the nurse, Randall Flagg supposedly cares about his son, but the nurse is Rat Lady who is served as so many different jobs around the hotel. They couldn't get a proper nurse or doctor for Nadine.
That's what I was thinking. Like, does he, apparently Randall Flagg has all these followers, but apparently 3 people have to do every job. It's either Lloyd, Julie Laurie, or Rat Woman. Those are the only 3 people he has to do anything.
With a couple of bodyguards.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I was just like, where's a doctor or a nurse? And I understand maybe he didn't care if Nadine survived, but you still need someone to properly perform some sort of C-section. And I mean, maybe I'm getting a little hung up on the realism of it, but it took me out of it.
Yeah, Rat Woman, she's an MC. She knows how to like film things and when to cut the things, and then she also knows how to deliver a baby too. So I mean, I was happy with the extra Rat Woman content in this episode, but it's just so ridiculous and over the top. It like took me out of it.
She looked like Rocky Horror Picture Show the whole time.
Like she was from that movie.
Yeah, she looked like Magenta.
Oh yeah. Could see that definitely.
Which is it's a ridiculous horror movie, you know. It was just bringing me to that level.
Yeah. So we covered Nadine's death and we covered Rat Woman, which is always a plus for me.
Speaking of Nadine's death, though, again, because I want to be complimentary to the actor Jovan Adepo, who plays Larry. Again, I thought this was his best episode, and I love the one line where they serve him up Nadine's head, and he just looks over at Rat and Lloyd, yeah, Nadine's head. And he says, he's like, this is what he does to his queen. This is what he does to the woman he loves. Whose head is he going to serve you? Like, who is he going to serve your head to? And I was like, ooh, that's a good line. I was like, that was pretty good. Okay. I like this guy now. And I was like, all right, I know he's being led to his death, but all right, he redeemed himself in my eyes. So that was a positive for me.
Yeah. Well, guys, we have to talk about the money shot of our show here. What about yours and our favorites? Well, yes, that's the money shot right there. I was on Twitter. I was telling Danny, I was like, there's a part where you're just gonna burst out laughing. Message me when that happens. And yeah, that scene. He does a speech like, "We're gonna be the new order. We are this. They've held us down." And he's like, it's just, oh my god.
I messaged Pete. I said, it's nice to know that Randall Flagg, the most evil character in the world, dances the way I do after a few drinks at a club. So there you go.
He still danced better than you.
No, he didn't.
Yes. No, you don't dance like that. Danny hops on one foot.
It was just too much, man. Too much.
I love Alexander Skarsgard, and I was like, "What are you doing? Why? Why are you dancing?"
Yeah.
Is he too serious a character to dance?
It's just they always portray him as like this sort of southern kind of like, you'd have him maybe listen to like, Leonard Skinner or something, and he's all serious and dark and demonic, and then all of a sudden it's like they're at a rave.
I think he is the type of character that would do something like that, but it all goes back to the context. Like Pete said, he's delivering this like Star Wars First Order speech, like, we will take over the galaxy. It just didn't, it made no sense. And like Alexander Skarsgård, again, we all think he's a good actor. We all appreciate his bare ass, but I just don't know if he was right for this character. I really don't.
My sister and I were trying to decide, like, he was just too damn good looking. And we were trying to decide, like, but who would have been better? And then I was like, and then we were like, Bill, no, he's too young. Maybe Gustav. Gustav could have been a better Randall Flagg, maybe.
But you're just running through Skarsgård.
I was. And then I was like, I have brain fog. So I'm like, who played Magneto? Well, he's too handsome, but they could make him less handsome.
I'm like Ian McKellen.
No.
Yes. I don't want to see Ian McKellen dancing like that.
No, I don't want to see Ian McKellen having sex.
Yes. Oh, yeah, with Nadine. Oh, no. Oh.
No.
Lots to love my Nadine. Yes. Wait, now you got me. Okay, something we should think about as we're going on to the next topic. Who would have been a really good Randall Flagg? Because, like, I feel like if you had someone that was like maybe one of the bad guys on like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, like in the Stand comic book adaptation, they kind of make him like a little bit darker complexion, like he could be kind of like, Hispanic or something. And I think that's the coolest looking Randall Flagg, I think if you made him kind of like a darker looking person in general.
I know Athena doesn't agree with me, but I really did like Jamie Sheridan in the 94 miniseries, because he looked like a kind of a regular guy, and in the Randall Flagg outfit of like jeans and he looked like a cowboy type character, and I guess because I saw that way before I read the book, I pictured him as I was reading the book, and I was like, yeah, that fits. So I was trying to think of like somebody who's not drop dead gorgeous, but yeah.
What about like Tom Hardy, or the guy that is like he is Tom Hardy, but he's like the guy.
The other one.
Yeah.
The guy from Upgrade.
Upgrade and The Invitation, that guy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy Light.
Tom Hardy Light.
I still think he's too good looking.
That guy's
what
too
about
good looking.
My husband from Sons of Anarchy? Now why can't I remember? No, I can't remember his name. He played Tig.
Charlie Hunnam?
No, he's too good looking. He played Tig, or even
Tommy Flanagan.
No.
Kim Coates.
Yes.
Yeah, Kim Coates would be kind of good.
He's maybe like magnetic, but not gorgeous. And
I like that.
he
I like
wears
that.
the denim and the leather.
Very true. Very true. He can play a psycho really well. So that's good casting.
How was Matthew McConaughey in the role? I never saw that. It was bad.
He was
Let's not
okay. He
talk
still was
about-
good looking though. I think when I heard he was Flagg before I saw The Awful Dark Tower, I was like, all right, he could do it.
Shari, did you see the Dark Tower movie?
No. That's why I'm
Okay.
asking. How was he?
Don't ever let her watch that. Read the book series first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that
Well, that's one thing that's a credit to this show, right? Is that I don't feel like the show flaunts Stephen King, though. You know, like it references itself.
Yeah,
but,
I agree with that.
You know, I mean, the only thing I remember Stephen King's
Shining
picture.
Carpet.
Oh, The Shining Carpet. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's really, I feel like that's it. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of references, and there's people in the comments will be like, "Oh, what about this? You idiots!"
Yeah.
But you know,
I mean, we only watched it once. I
That's
think
true.
that might be the only time we watch it. But
yeah. I don't want to go back to that.
rewatched the '94 miniseries. Like, oh, good. I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
I don't think I will. I don't think I will rewatch it. Oh, Trash Can was fine.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you brought that up. 'Cause that's what I meant by the money shot. Is that like the talking about what's his face, the
Ezra
Ezra
Miller.
Miller. That's like our content. That brings people to our channel.
Oh,
So you thought it was
Ezra Miller,
fine?
He was all right. Like, I mean, he is a great actor, and he wasn't used the right way, and he wasn't used enough. Like he was used enough the wrong way. And then in this episode, he did his job. You know, he did what Trash Can was supposed to do. And even just like, you know, laying there and waiting for it, that was fine. Like, and he was good. But he needed to be utilized a little, maybe more than Flagg. I mean, I know Trash Can is not you know, I mean, he's a major but yet minor character, and he does bring about the whole thing, like the whole explosion. But you know, Ezra Miller, he can act. So
I stand by what I said last week. If this is the Trash Can Man they were going to give us, they shouldn't have used him in the miniseries in this series at all. They should have cut the character completely. They should have done a redemption arc for Lloyd, and they should have had Lloyd be the one who went and got the nuclear weapon and brought and betrayed Flagg by bringing it to Vegas instead of the airport. Because I mean, in total, Ezra Miller was in this series for maybe 7 total minutes of screen time. And I gotta be honest, if that's what you're gonna do to the character, you obviously are only doing it for fan service. You're only putting the character in so that fans like us go, how did you didn't put Trash Can Man in? Right. But you know what? If this is what you're gonna do with him, don't put Trash Can Man in. Don't insult the audience by giving you the barest minimum of a character. Just, you know, and say to the fan base, listen, we didn't feel like we wanted to do that character in 2020. And you know what? I would totally get that, because that character is a complex character to do, you know, in a very PC world. And to bring in Ezra Miller, who is an actor who has a great, you know, pedigree with stuff like Perks of Being a Wallflower, and you got to talk about Kevin. I forgot the name of that movie. Yeah. But, you know, to bring in an actor of that caliber and to just waste them, it just bothered them.
It was a waste of a character, because the whole point of Trash Can bringing that weapon was a gift for redemption, because he messed up, because he couldn't help messing up, because he was a pyromaniac. So he was supposed to blow up the airport or do something stupid because he couldn't help himself. And then not just like, whoops, I didn't realize what you said. I just brought the bomb to you instead.
Yeah.
I forgot.
100%. At the end, it was kind of like Randall Flagg's plan backfired because whoops. Sorry, I brought the nuclear weapon to you instead of to the airport. My bad.
Well, it just seems like everything's run by a bunch of bumbling idiots. I mean, like you couldn't have someone helping or hanging out with Trash Can Man to make sure everything went well. And it just
Yes, the point of evil is that evil is genius, and there were no geniuses here.
Yeah, it just looked like a disorganized mess. Like they need an HR manager or something.
Yeah.
Rat Queen.
Rat woman. What the heck, man?
She's also HR.
Yes. Between births, she handles the hiring.
He shouldn't have killed Harold, because Harold would have been perfect for him.
Wow.
Harold is the smartest person in this series.
Wow. Good points.
You know, I never thought about that, but that is a great point. Maybe that was like Flagg's undoing was the fact that like he had a guy who's really, you know, going back to Larry following him across the country, a guy who was based around coming up with plans, and he had him killed for no real reason other than, you know, he had touched Nadine before Flagg got to.
Yeah.
And so there you go.
Opportunity.
Yeah. So, I mean, it all basically came crumbling down for the people in Vegas, and luckily we don't have to see some of that silliness over there anymore. Now we get to watch the episode that was written by Stephen King. So it's going to end hopefully on a high note in our last episode.
Well, you know his rep.
Oh yes, true. Yeah, what am I saying? He kind of messes up endings.
What's his
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy when the giant spider comes out and kills Stu.
Oh, no, Stu. No, Kojak will get it. No, Stephen King's rap is that he messes up the endings of his stories.
And he makes fun of himself in it. Like he makes fun of himself in it by like, you know, Bill Denbrough, you know, has a bad ending to his novel. So that's like modeled after Stephen King. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how they stick the landing on this one, or if they stick the landing on this one. But I mean, thanks.
Did we even say or tell everybody? I mean, I'm sure they watched it, that Vegas was blown up by a nuclear bomb. Like,
I don't think it was outright said.
We didn't like outright say it, but like, yeah. Like,
do y'all want to do a death count? Like who all died?
Okay, yeah, let's do a death count.
Okay.
So there's
Glenn, Larry, and Ray are the good guys that died.
Yeah.
And then obviously all the Vegas, literally all the Vegas people, but like Lloyd, Rat Woman,
Nadine,
of course. Yeah.
There's that little kind of shrimpy guy that they focused on a lot, you know, where
who was that?
Thought that they were building that guy up for like this big reveal, and then he had like one line of dialogue and got beaten up, and I'm like,
but he was supposed to
do something.
He was supposed to be the guy from Lost. Remember?
Yeah.
I forgot what his name is. He was the white man of the interracial couple on Lost. He played that guy, and in the 1994 series where he was like, "This is wrong, everyone," and then he's the first one. That's why Flagg throws the electricity at him, and that's why the electricity is in the air that brings down the hand of God in the 94 miniseries. But that was that guy. I forgot his name. What's his name?
Well, yeah, I know which actor you're talking about that is in Lost. He's in that couple, but like in the book, there's the cook that kind of stands up against Randall Flagg.
Whitey.
Yeah. And like Randall Flagg uses that fire to kind of melt off his face. I kind of thought that's what he was going to do to this guy.
Yeah.
But what they really played home in this one was that like Randall Flagg's power was like weakening. Like throughout this series, they showed so many times of like him floating in the air. I was like, okay, we get it. Enough of that, right? But finally, in this last episode, I was happy because he like stumbled to the ground because his power was weakening. And even they kind of showed his little smiley face, and it looked like his smiley face kind of like lost its luster, like it wasn't moving anymore. So I thought that was interesting. But
I have a question. So did Kojak fight the wolf after Vegas blew up? I can't remember. Like Vegas blew up and then a wolf came.
No. It was before Vegas blew up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering, why did Flagg go there? Like in the middle of all this, why did he do that? That was a mystery.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Don't look at me.
Yeah.
I mean, that was that Flag? That wasn't just a random wolf?
I
It
mean,
might
isn't
have been a
always
random
Flag?
white wolf in the middle of the Utah desert or whatever, you know,
I don't know.
from
I
Game
don't
of
know.
Thrones.
Maybe one of our fans can answer that
Yes.
question.
Yeah.
Who and what was the wolf?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm nervous for next week because, I mean, again, this is me knowing the book. The last like 100 pages of the book are there. It's a very big detour from like a nuclear bomb going off. Like you would think the nuclear bomb going off in Las Vegas would be the climax of the book. And instead the book like slowly winds itself down. And it's good while you're reading it. But I just don't know how that's going to work in a TV episode.
Yeah.
And
This makes
I
me
don't know.
wish that I had a copy of the cut version of The Stand, because I was like, I have the uncut version and I was reading, Trash Can Man, Trash Can Man and the Kid in the book. And I guess we can talk about this when we talk about the book, is not in the cut version. So now I want the cut version because I want to see what was missing. And like, if that sequence after the bomb was as long as it is,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I really, really want to, I guess
Yeah,
I guess I need
I
to-
remember because I read the book on Audible, and I remember like the bomb going off and then looking at the phone, and I'm like, how do I still have 2 hours left?
Yeah.
Like the bomb just went off.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how are there 2 hours left of this? And then like
There's a lot of stew
there's a lot of
There's a lot of stew
and
and like camping
there's a lot
supplies.
of different places where it's like, now we're gonna go to a hotel. Now we're gonna go to a different hotel.
Yeah. This matters. Yeah,
I mean,
okay, cool.
I didn't hate it. I felt
yeah,
like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
I thought in the book, like it was a good, like, because the part of the book is like the journey to
Yeah.
and from. So it felt right in the book. But nothing has felt really right aside from Harold, who was like the glue that held this series together for me.
and
And
Larry.
for all of us, I think. Nothing again, nothing really worked.
Mhm.
I
disagree with that,
I
but-
jokingly said the 3 words that I can use to summarize this series so far are choices were made.
Yeah.
That's the best I could do.
Yes.
know?
Choices
I'm
were
still
made.
excited. I'm still excited about next week.
Yes. Choices were made, like to have the rat woman deliver the baby, to have Ezra Miller wear tan underwear, tidy whities,
To have Flag dance.
to have Flag
at the
dance.
club.
Yeah. Those are some great freaking choices. So you know what? You guys should tune in next week as our final episode on our Stand coverage, and we'll talk about the choices that are made there. Hopefully not too many groans and her Galactus fingers coming down to finger Randall Flagg. But so we are good. We will see you guys soon, and make sure you're watching the Lastercast channel, because for the month of February we're doing horror noir. We're covering horror movies that are from the documentary Horror Noir, celebrating Black History Month, and we also might throw in a little bit of love too, because our next episode on the Lastercast is about love in horror and relationships in horror. So we have some real interesting choices, especially Danny's choice, which everybody knows and recognizes. So there you go. All right. So until then, you guys enjoy the Stand, and we will talk to you guys real soon.